Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with My Hero Academia Season 4. We're on Episode 3, and in the last episode, it got pretty dark there for a second. But I'm not complaining. I always enjoy when anime sort of like changes something up and like does something that you're not entirely expecting. And you know, for My Hero, it's been sort of building to this, right? I mean, with Season 1, it was like just, you know, pretty nice across the whole board up until, you know, the villains actually did show up, and then obviously we got episode 12, but it was pretty fine anyway, and regardless. Season 2 with the whole Stain thing getting a bit darker. Season 3 with the muscular fight, and then All for One versus All Might and everything like that. So, you know, gradually getting darker again. So Season 4 with, you know, when you're introducing a new villain, that's the kind of way that you want to do it. You know what I mean? You want to immediately set them as a sort of example of like, right, well, this guy means business and he's not to be fucked with, so you best take him seriously. So, you know, they've done a great job there, and I'm already excited to see what this fucking season has to offer. But anyway, yeah, so other than that, we had the introduction with Midoriya meeting Sir Night-Eye in quite a weird way with the whole fucking tickle machine thing, which were also vibrating, by the way. So, you know, that should give you a guess as to what those actually are. I also was told as well that the Bubble Girl was actually a fan sort of created character, like the design for that character, which is cool. Cause I think she looks really cool. So yeah, that's nice. That's sweet. I always like when they, like, you know, they take sort of fan things on board and put them actually into the show. So that was really cool. I would like to know exactly like how they went about doing it as well. Like, did they have like, because if it was based upon like a bunch of different fan like sort of, you know, like requests and stuff like that, was it just like a pick of the bunch and it was like, well, we've got this and this, do you want, which one do you want, and then there was a vote, or what? I don't know, but who knows? Maybe people just like sent in their drawings and whatnot, and you know, and then it just got chosen by a vote. Maybe that's what it was. But yeah, it was cool anyway. So yeah, we still don't know what obviously Overhaul's quirk is, which is crazy. Oh yeah, I'll talk about this now, because at the end of last episode I didn't have time to really go back and see what had really occurred in that fucking episode, and I did mention that you know, I was confused as like what was happening with the different quirks. So what had happened was what was his name? Mr. Compress, right? That whole thing. He jumped up after Magna got blown to bits, and then got shot from above, which I thought there was something with the bullet that had helped, but it wasn't. So he just got shot, and there was something with he couldn't use his quirk, right? After that, so there's something with the bullet, and somehow that relates to not being able to use a quirk, and then he must have clearly just slightly touched Overhaul, and then that caused his arm to explode. Which is it's just fucked. It's crazy. Also the fact of like, because a lot of the comments were like, oh, well, Shigaraki is like, you know, maturing. It's like, just to clear things up, like I wasn't saying that like he's like still the same as what he was then. Like, of course he's maturing, you know what I mean? Because beforehand he would have just completely lost it. So yeah, of course he's obviously more mature than what he was. But in the context of what I was saying that I still think like at this point he is not mature enough to lead them, you know, like to lead a group of lead the group of villains. I mean, yeah, he's getting more mature and whatnot. I just still think he's not at that stage quite yet. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out between those two groups, because I mean, I don't know how they're going to be able to work together considering what just occurred, and also the fact like you've got to think like, can you have like this whole 1v1v1 thing going on with the, you know, because it was kind of like that for a second, like a very small amount of time, minute amount of time with Stain where that happened, because the villains just can't get on the same page if they're not a part of the group. So, you know, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. See, that's where the maturity should really come in handy. Like, you know, Shigaraki bringing Overhaul on board. But you already know Shigaraki's looking for revenge anyway, so we'll see how that plays out. But anyway, yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're just going to get in episode 3 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Oh yeah, and if you do want to catch the full-length reaction to this, you can go over to my Patreon and get the full-length tier and watch the whole thing in full. So yeah, just to let you know that. But anyway, yeah, on with the show. Okay, episode 3. Well, because of that fucking after credit scene, I was not expecting that to come around that quickly. I mean, I suppose it's not like, because of what literally, you know, Night Eye had just said, that he works in a moral, like in a very grey area, but close up to black. But because of that, the fact that like they can't see him as a villain, meaning that they can't do anything. So, you know, having to, you know, he's going to have to just let Eri go back with the guy. So yeah, we also got that as well. Overhaul basically saying, let's go home, meaning that, you know, in some form or fashion, they have some relationship, whether it's entirely like, you know, if like it's like an actual little sister, or she's some kind of orphan or something like that. I don't know. Which is a little kid, and clearly she just doesn't want to be there, you know. So, I mean, I figure there would be something they could do, you know. I don't know. Anyway, so there was I guess from the very beginning, there was a thing about, well, obviously you had like the sort of the back and forth between Midoriya and Night Eye about the like, you know, details about All Might and stuff like that. Deku basically taking All Might's appearance from after the Vinegar River incident. What the fuck? That's crazy, man. God, some of the quirks are nuts in this show. Changing water to vinegar. Fucking God, that's a sucky quirk, isn't it? Jeez. But because of that, it affected his eyes. Is that the reason why? Because I haven't been back through to have a look at that. But is that the reason why All Might's eyes are like sunken and like, or is that because of? Is that actually no? I think that's because of the. I think that's because of after the first fight that All Might had with. Right. I don't know. His eyes have changed, right? They used to be white and you know, bright as hell, but now they're just like black holes. But very interesting anyway, nonetheless. So yeah, he's officially contracted with Night Eye's agency now. So yeah, it's official. Of course, he had to go through a little. Well, he didn't have to. He's already going to get it anyway. The only thing that was really true there that Night Eye was saying that he doesn't agree with the fact that Deku was chosen because he wanted Togedot to be. Now it's not surprising considering the fact that he is the golden boy, and that's the way that Night Eye sort of sees him. But like, here's a question. So Night Eye said that there was 2 sidekicks and 1 already in a work study, but I didn't say a second sidekick. So am I to assume that, well, either we haven't met the second sidekick yet, or Mirio is not only a work study like student but also already a sidekick? Is that right? I don't know. Who knows? Who fucking knows? It's just because he mentioned 2 sidekicks and then he mentioned a student and a work study, which the fact is that he said them separately makes me think that there's a second sidekick that we just haven't seen yet and we haven't met yet. I could be wrong though. But yeah, so we got his quirk, which is foresight. Now he has to touch them and then gaze into their eyes, and that gives them foresight up to an hour. So there was a thing that obviously when it comes up and like you get to know someone's quirk and you get President Mike like narrating the whole thing, right? And he's like, foresight. Night Eye cropped up and said that my activation requirements are secret. Now, is that just him like comedically like being annoyed at the fact that present Mike, like it's a meta way of present Mike. Was he annoyed that he was giving that away? Is that what it was? I think it was, right? It was just interesting because I like no one's ever really popped up before. I don't know. The only other time that would be the case is when President Mike's quirk thing came up, and I think it was Aizawa that was narrating his thing, right? But yeah. So yeah, we don't know to what degree, to how far into the future he can see. Though he did say that within 2 minutes you would be on the floor, and still not having it, right? And he was right because he was. So you can see at least 2 minutes into the future. It said the foresight up to an hour, but it doesn't say how long into the future. Because then, theoretically, you could, depending on how long it is afterwards, you could extend it like more than an hour. Like, I guess you can only see what is happening up to a current point up until the hour, but like, you know, in the final seconds before the quirk is useless again, like, depending on how long afterwards you can actually see up until then, like, you can make the most out of it and make it a bit more efficient. But yeah, we don't know the exact details about that. So yeah, I was talking about in the reaction, the whole warning in the last episode that All Might was talking about when he had Mirio and Midoriya in the same room, and he said, I can't face him because of something that he warned me about, right? And what was the exact quote? It was like he warned me that this would happen, or this would be the case, or something like that. And I was wondering when, like, if that is actually what the warning was, and that's the reason why I can't face him. Because I wonder if All Might maybe already had told Night Eye that it was probably going to be Mirio, and then within like a certain amount of time, he meets Midoriya, sees that happening, decides to go with him. I wonder if that's the case, and that's the reason why he can't face him. Because I thought Night Eye had a warning about. It's interesting anyway, because Night Eye's warning that something would happen is interesting, considering the fact that he has foresight. So if he knew something was going to happen, yet he went through with it anyway. It's just that, to what degree is it actually foresight? Like, is it something that if he can see the future, then it has to happen regardless, right? Like, for instance, because theoretically he could use it. Like, he could change the future. Like, he could change what would have happened, right? So if he was using his quirk for just some random person, right? And this is just a hypothetical, on the side of the road, and the person in question was going to walk over the road and get hit by a car, you would be able to stop it, right? And you would be able to change it from happening. It's just that because when you're talking about foresight and stuff, and I'm talking about the whole fact is that he gave a warning to All Might. Like, if he was to warn All Might about something and then All Might went through with it anyway, I'm just thinking about like the concepts of like, time and things like that, where things must happen. I mean things have got to happen to a certain degree. I suppose he's the only one that can really change it, because he's the only one that knows it's going to happen, right? So without his intervention, things would happen the way that they were going to happen, unless he was to tell them, like, don't do this, and then they don't do it, I suppose, right? So it's not something that's like that was always going to happen. He has the power to change it. Yeah, I guess it's not really he has the power to change it more than the power to just stop it from happening, I guess, right? But yeah, it was just worded weirdly, with All Might in the last episode saying, like, I can't face him because he warned me that this would be the case, or this would happen, or something like that. But we all know that All Might was happy with the choice that he made with Deku, so the wording on that makes me think that the warning that he was talking about maybe wasn't the whole thing about passing on one for all to Deku instead of Mirio. Maybe it was about the whole. I don't know. It's interesting though. I wrote down admiration for All Might as like a shackle, because remember that had happened in season 2 with Gran Torino. Like in the first episode, they had like a battle or whatever. Because you focused too much on him. Now that ended up coming back full circle to the end of season 3 when it was like he keeps trying to fight like All Might, and then it would change, and then he would eventually start using his legs, and that was supposed to be, I guess, connected to that. But I just thought it was it was one of the first things that popped into my mind when at the end of the fight it was the whole thing of like Deku not wanting to ruin the posters, right? And I was just thinking, like, if it had gone a different way, like let's say that that Night Eye was like wasn't lying, or was lying, no, wasn't lying, yeah, and he wasn't gonna give him the contract regardless, because he said he was going to give him the contract regardless of what had happened there after the fight. But if let's say that Deku had to get that seal in order to get the thing or whatever, then maybe the one thing that stopped him from getting the seal, if he had have just said fuck it and destroyed the posters or whatever, then that would have been like, you know, seeing All Might, you know, the admiration for All Might as a shackle because he doesn't want to ruin the posters and stuff. I just thought it was interesting, so I thought I'd write it down. So yeah, Night Eye obviously doesn't agree with Deku as All Might's successor. You know, Night Eye clearly has this admiration for All Might as well, and it feels like Mirio was you know, the best choice. But yeah, so that is it. Everything from everything to do with Night Eye and what happened there. I want to see Bakugo's and Todoroki's sort of exam bits and like them doing their thing a bit. I hope we'll get that. I don't know if it will though, because I feel like it's going to be a bit different to like sort of the exam that we had before at the end of season, like in the latter half of season 3. Because it's sort of going to be it's like individualized, right? I can't remember what the fucking said, because they said that they would have to retake a thing in order to get their provisionals, but they would obviously be behind because they would have to retake it. And didn't they say that they would, like, all the ones that failed would be getting an individualized sort of test to go through? I want to see that. I hope we'll get it. Okay, so yeah, in regards to some of the other students as well, we got fucking, oh my god, I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? No, bird guy. Why can't I remember his name? Suki. I can't remember it. No, that's not right. Why can't I remember his name? Oh, fucking hell. I actually have to put in bird guy. Why can't I remember his name? Tokoyami, man, that was it. I was getting confused because I was like, is it Tsukiyomi, the guy that he, like the hero name that he had picked out? Wasn't it? I think that's what I was getting wrong, and I was like Tsukiyami, or Tsukiyomi or whatever, and then I was like, it was like I was getting mixed up with Sue because Suyu and stuff, and I was like, what is it? I couldn't. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Tokoyami, he's been called in from the number 3 hero Hawks, which is cool. Now, is that number 3 in regards to All Might still being number 1? Or if we're going by the current climate, it's Endeavor number 1 now. In which case, who's number 2? What was Best Jeanist again? Was Best Jeanist number 4? I don't know, can't remember. Fuck. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever the climate is that they're going by the ranked heroes at this point, I've got to assume they've changed it up. I've got to assume that Endeavor's number 1 right now, right? And that's what they're going with. Yeah, I suppose. Anyway, Hawk. So yeah, Bird Bros stick together. That's great. It's cool though. And then we've got Kirishima, Ochako, and Sue being called by the other two in the big three. And I wonder what that is. I was trying to think, like, what could that be based upon? Like, what's the reason them three are getting picked or chosen to go with? And I can't think of, like, any reason as to why, really. I mean, obviously the connection with Ochako and Sue is their, like, best buds, right? Them two. But Kirishima's kind of, like, out of the blue. And I don't know what the, you know... Did we know what Omajiki's quirk was? I don't think we found out, did we? No, I don't think we found out. We only found out Togura's, right? Mirio's. We didn't get the other two's. So I don't know. If it's something like... If there's some sort of relevance between their quirks, then maybe. But it's not really going to help. I mean, when we're talking about in this sort of... This season, when it's work studies and stuff... like... They can't really help. Unless... They would have different... If they've done work studies, they would have different ones, right? We don't know if them two have done work studies, but I think they have, right? I think they will have done, because they brought in those three in regards to work studies, right? To talk about work studies. So they would have to have done it as well. But I don't think they did it with Night Eye. So maybe similar to Mirio introducing Deku to Night Eye, maybe it's the same with them. You know, maybe that's what it is. Could be. But yeah, we'll have to see what that is. We've got Overhaul's real name, which is Kai Chisugi. So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna call him Overhaul anyway. So there's that. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I've got. I mean, it's interesting, like thinking of it now, just looking at it on the page, considering what Overhaul's quirk did to Magna last episode. That like, how does Overhaul work as a way? Because when you overhaul something, like you're kind of like making it anew from scratch to something better. Now I don't know if Magna's in a better state than what he was before. I don't think that's the case. So I don't know. You overhaul something. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it could be similar to like, well, you overhaul it, like, you know, like you sort of, I don't know, because it could be like overdoing it, maybe, you know what I mean, like something like to the point where the human body can't handle the overhaul, so it just explodes. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you don't want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch, obviously, there is a bunch of tiers there, obviously, that you can have a look at. There is the $5 early access, so $5 a month. So you get shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week as well. So if you want extra episodes of that, then feel free. There's also a full-length tier there for $10 a month. You can watch all of my shows and all my reactions in full, including this show of My Hero Academia as well. And there's other tiers there where you can pay to have certain shows reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, you can go have a look and see what the deal is there. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.